Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with Sullivan Cauley ahead of his fight in PFL Washington, DC. How do you feel before your fight?
I feel great, man. Camp went really, really well. I've had problems in the past where I'm pushing myself so hard during camp and I'm getting injured and missing days of training. That didn't really happen this time. I think I'm getting a lot more. I'm just getting a lot better at running these camps and about getting myself ready. And this is my most professional camp ever, I would say. And I'm feeling great, feeling ready for this fight.
What about your opponent makes you feel that gives you the confidence for you to beat him?
I think I'm a really tough matchup for good wrestlers. You saw that in the Phil Davis fight, and I've noticed that in training with some of the best guys in the world. I'm just a tough matchup for a good wrestler. I can wrestle too, and I'm a very dangerous striker. And I'm very tough, and I'm willing to get tired and go to those deep waters that people talk about. And I see myself being able to beat him there.
You've admitted that despite your D1 wrestling career, you actually fell in love with striking rather than wrestling. Why do you think that happened?
That's a good question. I don't know if it's maybe my natural physical tools were better suited to striking, or if it's something about my mentality, but I did just fall in love with striking, and I've obviously worked a lot on my technique, but I found out that I was kind of blessed with explosive power, which translates to knockouts. And I always joke around. The first time you knock somebody unconscious, it is an experience. It's a spiritual experience. I'll never forget the first time I hit somebody and watched his eyes roll, and the fight was over. I was like, "You're like, no, I'll never do anything else. This is what I do now."
You went through a really bad injury with your ACL.
Yeah.
How did it? You said it made you feel like your dream was taken away from you.
It did. It did, man. I tore my ACL and I was going to have that surgery. And you hear about guys having that surgery so often that I just kind of assumed it wasn't going to be like that big a deal. But then you have the surgery and you're basically debilitated afterwards. I was like a cripple for months. And it was miserable, and I was like, "Am I ever gonna be able to compete again? Is it ever gonna be the same?" So when I recovered and I fought again, it was the first fight of last year's tournament. I had that first round finish. All these emotions rushed in, and I just was running around the cage screaming, "I'm back!" Yeah, probably people didn't know what I was talking about, but for me, that was that was the completion of a dark journey.
Yeah. How did you get out of those the bad times after the injury?
Oh, so slowly, bit by bit, I would say. And you do physical therapy, and physical therapy is an absolute must after a procedure like that. And every little win you have in physical therapy is another step, another rung on the ladder to kind of bringing you back, you know what I mean? And eventually you're moving around and that feels good, and then eventually you're hitting pads and that feels good. And after a while you're even if you're not 100%, you're I'm pretty damn close. I can fight now, and it's oh, thank God,
If I followed you through 24 hours of your fight camp, what would surprise me the most?
Oh, how boring it is. The life of an elite athlete when they're training for competition is very boring. It's going to practice, it's eating healthy, it's resting a lot. So it's not, you know what I mean? It's not very glamorous, I would say.
When you first transitioned from wrestling to MMA, your striking coach took one look at your hands and said, "You suck."
That's a true story.
How vital did that immediate, brutal ego death affect your success in your career?
I think that was important, and that striking coach who told me that, I basically fell in love with. You know what I mean? And he's still my striking coach, and we have a great almost father-son relationship. You know what I mean? He's really brought me a long way and taught me so much. But I think somebody who's going to be real with you like that is super important, and a lot of grapplers will be will come over to striking, and because they had like a great college wrestling career, guys will like pump them full of hot air. You know what I mean? It's not real. They they need to hear reality. So I think that was really good for me.
And last one, what's the most valuable advice you've received from a cornerman that wasn't about fighting?
The most valuable advice received from a cornerman that wasn't about fighting. I'm gonna probably need a second here. God, that's tough. Maybe it was from Bader. And I kind of talked about this in an earlier interview, but it was about not having your whole world, your whole identity wrapped up in your sport. You know what I mean? And this is something that Bader does really, really well. Is like, love your sport, love your job, work hard, do everything you can do, but at the end of the day, realize that like you're not just a fighter, you're a man, you're a friend, you're a son, you're a husband, you're all these other things. It's a much healthier way to look at things, and your performance actually gets better as a result of it. I think that's probably the best thing I've learned from a cornerman.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.